Hi everyone. Well, this is my second video about the coronavirus, and I thought about making this one just to kind of keep you updated as to what's going on in Italy right now. I do realize that this is an ever-changing situation, that the facts, the numbers, and pretty much everything changes by the hour, more or less. But I thought that in the meantime, this would be a good idea to update my friends and family and to let you all know how I'm doing over here. Those of you who have reached out to me in private to ask me how I am, I really appreciate it. Thank you. The other two goals are to give advice, primarily for people who are here or for people who are thinking of coming here, and also just to give you my opinion as to how I think the Italian government is handling things. My wife and I are fine, so don't worry. We've taken all the proper precautions. We wash our hands. We avoid large crowds of people, and at the moment we are currently working from home. For those of you who don't know, Italy is pretty much in total lockdown right now. In my last video, I mentioned only two regions that were kind of quarantined off. Now it's pretty much the whole country, although as our Prime Minister prefers to call it, Italy is a protected area. I guess that's just a euphemism. It's almost like being in martial law, except that you don't see the military patrolling the streets, and it's also like house arrest. So the only movement that's really allowed is for people to go to work, to go to the grocery store, to buy medicine at the pharmacy. The tobacco stores are open, and also the gas stations are open. There's a definite increase in mask wearing. In fact, I myself wore one this morning. So yeah, this morning I experienced two interesting things. I had to go to the pharmacy and I also had to go to the grocery store. When I arrived at the pharmacy, there was a sign outside that said only one person or one couple at a time. So I had to wait outside until somebody from the inside came out. That didn't take too long, but the grocery store did take a little bit longer. As I approached the entrance, I saw people waiting in line to go in. Apparently the grocery store only allows a certain amount of people to go in at one time, and we had to respect the 1 meter distance. That hasn't changed since my last video. We must keep 1 meter apart from everybody else. What else has changed since my last video is this right here. This is a document called an autocertificazione, and in English that means self-declaration. In essence, if the police stop you, they may make you fill out this form, and the form is really intended for the following people. Work reasons, situations of necessity, translated literally, health reasons, and people who are just going back home. Now, if I've understood that last one correctly, this means that if you're out and about just going for a walk and the police stop you, then you fill the form out, and in essence, this gives you the authorization to go back home, I think. As for the rest of the country, as you saw in the introduction, we are pretty much in lockdown mode. And pretty much that means that wherever you have places where large groups of people congregate, then that's not happening. Now, as far as our jobs are concerned, both my wife and I are working from home, and as they call it, this is smart working. I think we're fortunate, to be honest. You know, I teach, and so it is possible to do lessons over the internet. I'm still adjusting. It is a bit awkward, really, but there are some perks to it, really. My wife, however, works for the Italian government, and so therefore she's able to do everything from a computer. Hopefully, I can go back to work by April 3rd, which is when this whole stay-at-home business ends. My take on all this, well, I remain concerned but not worried, and I don't want to panic. This is, though, a very surreal situation. I mean, I've never seen anything like this before in my life. And the expression that life is stranger than fiction, this is a perfect example. It really does feel like we're in a movie. I'm trying to stay positive during all this, and I try to look at the benefits of staying home all the time. For one thing, it does give me more time to work on my YouTube channel. Although I do realize that this situation is not good for the Italian economy, and a lot of businesses are probably hurting, namely restaurants, bars, taxi drivers as well. Our health, however, I think is the most important thing, and this is why I don't exactly view this isolation 100% negatively, because I believe it works. I think that when we stay home, when we isolate ourselves, we don't have contact with people who are contaminated, and I think this will bring the numbers down, and people will stop dying. This is probably going to ruffle some feathers, but I want to mention it in this video. And I actually prefer to be here in Italy during this virus because this is a country with universal health care. I've been here for 10 years. I've had medical care in this country, and it's not perfect, but to be honest, I haven't had any problems. And, if I have to go to the hospital or if I have to be treated for the virus, I just like the fact that I don't have to worry about getting a medical bill. I'm not saying this to brag, far from it. I just simply wanted to mention this because it's something that I really believe in, and I wish everybody could have this right, because in essence, it is a right. I do pay for it, though. I do pay enough in taxes, but it's something I don't mind paying for because the care is there when I need it. And even if I wasn't working or if I was poor, I would still get care. I think, though, at this point in time, it's really not a good idea to point the finger to find out, who is exactly at fault, why this virus has become a global problem. I mean, that's kind of like going up to a burning house and instead of saving the people in the house, asking yourself, well, gee, I wonder how this thing started. The point, though, is this. Since this virus has reached every part of the globe, I think we should all be taking the same precautions that Italy has taken. And again, I believe that in the end, this isolation approach will work. I might be wrong, but hopefully not. Now, for those of you in Italy and are watching this video, check the description below, and there you will find a link for the Ministero della Salute, and there you will find the green number for your region. Otherwise, if you have a problem, you can still call 112 or 118. But the most important thing to remember is that if you think you have the virus or have been in contact with somebody who has it, do not go to the emergency room, because if you do that, then you risk contaminating other people that are there. If you're still thinking about coming to Italy, I think that would be very unwise. And I don't think you can, actually, because I believe that Trump imposed a 30-day ban on flights going to the Schengen area. But, even if that 30-day ban wasn't in place, if I were an American tourist, I still would not even think of coming over here to Italy. Travel.state.gov still does give Italy a level 3 alert. In other words, reconsider your plans coming to Italy. I don't say reconsider, I say forget them. However, once this mess is well done and over with, please do come to Italy, because this country does rely a lot on tourism, and so I'm sure it's hurting right now. Although the summertime is where a lot of the money is. My final piece of advice is this, and I'll say it again. Treat your local situation just like here in Italy. This virus has spread all throughout Italy, and it can spread anywhere, really. If the local authorities tell you to avoid large crowds, to stay home, I would definitely take their advice. People here did not take that advice up until last week, I believe. The government was telling us to stay home, to avoid large crowds. And yeah, people were still going out to restaurants, they're going out for an aperitif, and it almost defeated the purpose. All right, so my final thoughts on the matter are this. I think common sense and just staying informed are two of the best weapons, like I said in the previous video. Consult reputable news sources. Wash your hands frequently, don't sneeze at anybody, and I think it's also important to approach this from a collective point of view. You're a community, you've got to work together, and I think if you have that approach, then we will beat the virus. Until next time.